You're sitting in a quiet room. A clock is ticking. You didn't ask it to. You can't stop hearing it. Every tick pulls your attention away from whatever you were thinking about. It feels small. It feels annoying. But the real answer is far stranger. Your brain is not reacting to a clock. It's reacting to something much older. Think about the last time you heard a ticking sound in a silent room. Your shoulders tensed. Your breathing shifted, just slightly. You may not have noticed it happening, but your body did something. It prepared. That preparation has a name. Researchers call it a threat scanning response. And it did not begin with clocks. It began with dripping water in a cave, with footsteps outside a shelter, with any repeated sound that meant something was still out there and still moving. For most of human history, a rhythmic sound in the dark was rarely nothing. It was rain finding a new path through a roof. It was an animal circling. It was another human, closer than expected. Silence was safe. Repetition was not. David Eagleman, a neuroscientist who studies how the brain constructs time, has shown that your perception of time is not fixed. It stretches and compresses based on what your brain thinks matters right now. A ticking clock hijacks that system. It forces your brain to mark time in discrete units, over and over, and each unit becomes a fresh opportunity to ask, is this still safe? That question never fully goes away. It just goes quiet. Here's where it gets stranger. Your ancestors didn't evolve to fear clocks. They evolved to fear uncertainty. A tick is a small, repeated uncertainty. Will it happen again? It will. Will it change? Maybe. That maybe is the hook. Your brain cannot look away from a maybe. Robert Sapolsky, a stress researcher who has spent decades studying primates, found something that seems backwards at first. Predictable danger causes less stress than unpredictable danger. A lion that shows up at the same watering hole every day is manageable. A lion that might show up anywhere and every time is exhausting to live near. A ticking clock sits right in between. It's predictable in rhythm. Your brain, running on ancient software, still treats each tick as new information worth checking. Is this the moment something changes? Your nervous system asks that question hundreds of times an hour, and you barely notice you're paying the cost. Now picture a deadline, not a sound this time. A date on a calendar, keeping closer. Somehow it feels the same. That tightening in your chest, that pull on your attention, even when you're trying to focus on something else. That's not a coincidence. John Weirden, a psychologist who has spent his career studying how humans track time, showed that we don't experience time as a smooth, even flow. We experience it as a series of alerts. For something matters, or it doesn't. And your brain has almost no ability to sit calmly next to something that might matter and simply ignore it. A deadline is a ticking clock stretched across days instead of seconds. Each morning you wake up, it has moved closer. Each tick is a day instead of a second. But the underlying alarm is identical to the one that once tracked a predator's footsteps outside a shelter wall. Here's the twist most people miss. Your ancestors weren't just listening for danger. They were listening for time running out. A storm approaching before shelter was built. A food source about to spoil. Daylight fading before the walk home was finished. The ability to feel time pressing forward, physically, in your chest, kept early humans alive long enough to become your ancestors in the first place. You inherited that exact wiring. You just use it to track group projects and dentist appointments instead of storms and predators. And your brain does not know the difference. That's the part that should stop you for a second. It cannot tell a ticking clock apart from a slowly approaching threat. It cannot tell a countdown timer on your phone apart from a fire spreading toward a shelter. The nervous system can treat both as the same kind of signal. Tension. Tension. Persistent demand that you do something. This is why silence can feel like relief and why a ticking clock in an empty room can feel unbearable within minutes. Silence tells your ancient brain that nothing is approaching. A tick tells it something might be. Think about how often you check the time when you're anxious. Not because you need the information, because checking gives your brain a moment of resolution. A tiny answer to the question it keeps asking. Still safe, still safe, still safe. Modern life is full of artificial ticking clocks, notification badges, countdown timers on sales pages, progress bars that creep forward while you wait. Every one of them borrows the same ancient circuitry that once tracked real, physical danger and repurposes it to hold your attention hostage. You are not weak for feeling pulled toward a ticking clock. You are not broken for struggling to ignore a countdown. You are running code that helped a small, mortal primate survive long enough to pass that code down to you, generation after generation, tick after tick. The next time you hear a clock ticking in a quiet room, notice what happens in your body. That tightening isn't really about the clock. It's about every ancestor who once listened, in the dark, for a sound that meant they needed to move. Good night. When you hear a clock ticking in a quiet room, you'll feel a switch inside yourself that your ancestors never had the luxury of ignoring.